Well, hello, everyone. My name's Shauna Sue from Crooked Door Studio. So happy to have you all here tonight. We're going to be painting the sassy little fish behind me. So before we get started, let's go through our supplies, make sure we have everything we need. Now, since this is a Zoom recording, and I know you all are painting in your own spaces, let's take a second and look around. I always like to do a check to make sure I don't have anything super nice around me that I would be afraid to get paint on, right? Make sure I'm not standing on a nice rug that if I spilled paint, I might destroy it. Make sure that there's nothing to the left and the right, because sometimes when we paint, especially when we paint this background, we're going to do a lot of left and right, and we could flick off the edge of the canvas. So just take a look around. Okay. You'll see me looking off to the side quite a bit. That's just because I'm watching you on my larger screen over at the side. I'm recording here, but I'm watching you over there. Okay. So if you have any questions, type them in the chat, and we'll handle questions that way. Okay. Okay, so I've checked my surroundings, everything's good. I have my apron on or an old t-shirt, right? Being super conscious of my surroundings. I have a canvas, I have a 16 by 20 canvas that I'm gonna paint on tonight. It's back here, right? I'll move this one in a minute once we talk about our painting, but decide now if you're gonna paint your edges. I think it looks nice if you do, but you don't have to. But if you're going to paint your edges, make sure you paint all your edges all the way around. Okay. Brushes. You should have 3 brushes, right? And they're all going to be a little different from mine, and that's okay. But what you're looking for in this painting is a big background brush, right? Something to cover lots of ground in the background. Some kind of a medium brush. I have my handy dandy medium filbert. And he's called a filbert because he's curved this way. He's flat this way, he's skinny, but he's curved. And then I have a pointy brush. Always good to have a pointy brush for details. The glasses at the end, that would be helpful, right? I have a water cup over here. And I'm running in danger zone tonight because it's a coffee cup. So we're gonna try really hard not to drink the paint water tonight. Cool or cold water. Never warm or hot, always cool or cold. And when I'm not using my brushes, they live in my water cup. Okay. Paper towels to dry your brushes off on. And then I always keep a Sharpie, a paint pen, something to sign my painting with at the end. I always have those. And then paint. Let's talk about our colors tonight. So colors tonight, if you got paint from me, this is what you got. So you should have blockout white. And I like blockout white because it helps make our other colors more solid, more opaque, less transparent. We'll talk about that when we get to the fish. Okay, some kind of a bright yellow, orange, and then red. And now be careful, the original painting shows purple glasses on the fish. I don't have purple on here. So if you want purple glasses, you're going to want to mix your red and blue, and you're going to want to do that now to decide if it's a good purple. Because if you have a red that is a fire red that is too orange, and you try to mix it with the blue, you're going to get a poo color. You're not going to get purple. Okay. Then I have a phthalo blue, a nice dark blue, phthalo green, and then just a little bit of black for the pupils on the glasses or on the eyeballs. Okay, so that's my paint I have. So let's talk for just a second about how we're going to accomplish this painting. Okay, we're going to do that whole background first. I'm going to use blue, white, maybe a little green, a little yellow, but we're going to cover that whole thing. Then we're going to take probably a 10-minute break. Let it dry a little bit. We might go to the blow dryers. So if you don't have a blow dryer, you might ponder how we're going to get this dry, grab an extra plate or something, but we'll take a little bit to have that dry. Then we're going to put our fish on here in white first, because all of our paint is very transparent. We need to give that fish a nice solid base for that orange to live upon. And then we'll work on our details and things. We'll do some bubbles, we'll paint our fish orange, we'll eyes, glasses, we'll do all that stuff at the end. Okay, I do believe we're ready to get started. So I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to move him off to the side here. See if he'll stand there. There we go. All right, let's get started, shall we? Big brush. Find your biggest brush. I'm going to tap, tap, tap it in the water cup. Make sure it's clean. Soften it up a little bit. And then dry it off on your paper towel. And remember, anytime we take paint, we always go in the edge of the paint. So I'm going to start with a lot of white. And again, I pull in the edge so I don't mess the whole thing of white up. I'm going to take a lot of white, scoop it, and a little bit of blue. That phthalo blue is powerful. And I'm going to go side to side. So the majority of this is going to be blue and white. Okay? Mostly blue and white. Edges, if you've decided to do your edges, go ahead and do them, right? Do them while you're painting. Let's talk, while we're doing this, let's talk a little bit about blending paint, right? Acrylic paint only blends while it's wet. Once it's dry, it turns to plastic. It will not blend. So I'm going to get a decent section of white and blue on here, and then I might decide to add in a little green yellow, but I have to do that while that blue is wet. So watch what I'm going to do here. Okay, got a nice blue-white section. Ooh, that's pretty. And then while that's wet, take that dirty brush. It's got blue and white on it. And I'm going to take a little yellow and a tiny bit of green, because I know white, yellow, green makes lime. So if I mix a little bit of that in here, I'm going to get this limey, murky color. And I'm not a huge fan of having that color everywhere, but I love a little bit of it here and a little bit of it there. And then I'm not rinsing my brush out. I'm going straight back to white and blue. Blend some more of that on there. And you see how as I do this, I'm not jumping around the canvas. Working my way slowly down, because I know if I jump around, I'm going to have dry spots and I'm not going to be able to blend it. Right. Something else I don't know we've talked about before. Let's talk about brushes. So the brush that I'm using tonight, for those of you that come to the studio, you know, I call them my crappy old brushes. I love my crappy old brushes, especially big brushes. The crappy old big brushes, they're splayed out because we've used them so many times, and they're splayed out. They'll hold a lot of paint. New brushes don't do that, right? They're not broken down yet, right? They're not crappy old brushes yet. We'll get them there, trust me, but they're not there yet. They're still really new. So they're all collapsed down, and they hold a fraction of the paint because they're collapsed down. And a lot of people will struggle. They feel they're using the same amount of paint, but that old brush is pulling a lot of it off the plate, where this guy is just pulling the tiniest bit. So you're struggling trying to cover that canvas with a new brush. So if you have a newer brush, the best guidance I can give you when you're doing big areas like this, literally scoop the paint on there. Get a bunch of it on the canvas. Look how much I have there. Get a bunch of it on the canvas and then move it around once it's there. That's the best guidance I can give you for using new brushes. And then once I have a bunch of it on there, I can continue to go back and forth and move it around. But I'm not fighting trying to get that canvas covered. It's time for a little more yellow green there. Oh, I almost forgot to breathe. Everybody breathe. All right. Take a moment. Inhale, exhale it all out. I know I have a habit, I'm sure a lot of you do too. I have a habit when I start something, a new project, a new painting or something, anything really, anything new that I start, I hold my breath and I dig in and I go, go, go. And I forget to stop and breathe and relax for a minute. This is not a competition. Let's enjoy the process. I'm living in danger zone. I have my paint cup right here, white coffee cup. I have my cup that I'm drinking out of right here beside it. It's not a good decision. Move that over there. And the whole canvas. Keep going till that whole canvas is covered. Now, something, when we're working on something like this, something that's very subtle that you may not even notice it, but it does make a difference when you do it. Painting a whole big background, so this is all water. Try to go just a little bit darker at the bottom. Doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit, but you want to try to get your color a little darker toward the bottom. That's going to help weight your painting down a little bit, right? That's going to make it feel right in the end if it's a little darker down low. And edges, don't forget your edges. Again, you don't have to paint them, but if you started, you want to finish. And I know I'm at least using a lot of paint, right? I've already said it, I like to scoop that paint on there and get a lot of it on my canvas and move it around. But at the same time, I'm making sure I don't have any rolls of paint. Because if I have a booger, if I have a paint booger or a roll of paint on there, it's going to take forever to dry. Okay. Right. So I'm feeling pretty good with where I'm at. Go around and touch my edges a little. When your whole canvas is covered and you've got all your edges and everything, brush and water cup. We got to get this dry before we can move on. And a question came up in class last night. They're like, well, why don't we just sketch out where the fish is going to go and paint everything except where the fish is going to go. Well, the fish has all these lovely fins that I sure enough don't want to have to paint around, right? And I love that you can tell I didn't paint around it. You can see like this line of green in the water goes right through. It's just a more pleasing look, I think, than trying to paint around it. And guaranteed, even if we tried to paint around it and leave this so we could move on right away, you would have some kind of roll of blue-green water paint that you'd get into that wasn't dry. So that's why we do it the way we do it. Painting the whole thing, giving it a little dry time. And it gives us time to breathe. Just over here off to the side, making sure I got my edges. There we go. All right, I got all my edges. I got the whole canvas covered. I can see some of you are still working to be respectful of everyone's time and get this done in our 2-hour block, in our under 2-hour block. Let's say 8 minutes, we'll move on. Okay, so it's 7:22. 7:30, we'll move on. So I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to head to the blow dryer. I want to make sure this center section, pretty much all of it, I want to make sure that's dry, right? So I can come in with white. So let's come back together in 8 minutes at 7:30. You might take a blow dryer to your canvas, get clean water, rinse your big brush out. Make sure you have clean white, okay? All those things, and we'll come back. Okay, and while we're on break, I see my husband just got home, so the dogs are going to go a little crazy. So I'm going to turn my camera and my sound off. But, oh, we're down to 7 minutes. 7:30, we'll come back and be ready to move on. 2 minutes or do we need another 5? Do we need a little more time? What do we think, friends? Flail wildly if you're not going to be ready in 2 minutes. All right, well, there we go. 2 minutes, I'll be back. All right, friends, I do believe we're ready to move on, yes? Yes, yes, I see nods. Fabulous, okay. All right, so everybody should have clean big brush, clean water if you need it, right? Some clean white. And let's go ahead, let's dissect the fish. That just sounds weird and gross, but let's break it down, shall we? So let's look at this shape right here, just the basic fish shape. I'm not looking at the fins. I'm not looking at the eyeballs. I'm not looking at any of that stuff. I'm looking at this shape right here. It's kind of an almond shape, right? We're going to be pointy up here and round down here. And I want that to be pretty much the middle third of my painting. Maybe a little bigger, but not much. I'm looking at, if I split my canvas in thirds, that almond is going to be about the middle third. Okay. So now, again, my reminder, if I start to move too fast, just put your stuff down and know that you can come back to the recording later, okay? All right, big brush, clean it out, dry it off. Clean white paint. Hang on, I feel like I'm zoomed out a little. I'm going to try to zoom in a little without getting too crazy. Struggles. Too far. There we go. Okay, so middle third-ish almond shape. You can always start small and then go bigger if you need to. Okay. And we're going to fill this in with white. This is just white because we have to give that orange a nice solid base to live upon. If I tried right now just to put the orange on here, you would see clear through to that blue because the orange is transparent. You'd see clear through, and we know blue and orange, poop. Okay. There we go, almond. Perfect. Perfectly imperfect. Okay. Little more clean white paint on that brush. And now I'm going to head up top and I'm going to work on that top fin. Okay. So I'm using that brush skinny ways to do some sketching. And I'm going to start here on the left side. I want to follow that line on up and around. And I want to stop about 2 fingers from the top. Okay. So I'm going to start here on this line and I'm just going to extend this line up and around. Little hook. And then from the top, I'm going to come down and down. Like that. Just little bumps all the way down. And it has come down past, I brought that left side down past the peak of my almond. And then I'm going to fill it in with white. And to do that, pull down. Start at that bump and pull down and in. There we go. Got a little sassy fish hairdo. I'll give you a minute to accomplish that, and then we'll move on to those bottom fins. We always talk about food, right? Tonight for food, my husband stopped and got a fruit tray, and I'm not even like plating it out. It's amazing. Anybody else like living on fruit in the summertime? All the fruit all the time. Okay, bottom fins. Let's start with the bottom in the middle because I want the side bottom fins to be fun and crazy, but I want to make sure I have room for that bottom fin as well. So I'm going to come straight down. Again, I'm using it skinny ways to sketch, straight down and angle. And I'm going to do one that's a little shorter. Okay. Once I know where those belong, I can turn my brush that ways and thicken them up a little bit. Got a short hook and a long hook. Okay. Right around the fattest part of my almond is where I'm going to put those bottom fins. And if we look at them, we're going to split them in half. There's going to be the top half. So find the whitest part of your almond. And I'm going to start there with the top half of my fin. It's going to come out and flip up. Out and flip up. And then the bottom part of that fin is going to whoosh down. Whoosh. Okay. And I'm using my brush skinny ways until I figure out what I'm doing. And then I can turn it and use it fat ways. get a little more coverage. And then I'm going to have the same kind of thing over there, but a little different. That top fin, instead of whooshing up, it's going to kind of dance a little, but I'm going to start at the same part, the fattest part of my almond. Dance it a little bit. Kind of hook it. But it should be close to the same width as this side. I think I need to make this side a little longer. And then the bottom part's going to match this bottom part. Ish, you know, match-ish. Now, could I have made this part of the fin just like this one? I could have, but I think it makes it a little sassy if we change them up a little bit. I'll give you a minute to get your fins on there. And again, it's all just solid white so far, given that nice solid base. Okay, still have my brush with white. I want to go ahead and put my fish eyeballs on there, just in white. Okay, and they're going to be half on the body and half off the body. And I think the bigger you make them, the better, but don't be crazy. Unless you want to be crazy, that's up to you. But I'm going to start below where this top fin comes in. I'm going to start below that. There's a big white eyeball, half on, half off. And one there, half on, half off. And they're not, mine aren't even straight. And I don't even care, right? It's a big, silly, sassy fish. So fun. And then we're done. We've got our fish mapped out. I'm gonna take this brush, pop it in the water cup. And I'm gonna move on to a smaller brush here in a minute. About 3 minutes, and we'll get all of that done. I'll give you 3 minutes and we'll move on. Need a little more white paint. So if you're running real low, get yourself the equivalent of like maybe one more pump of white paint. And I'm just going to continue working on this fruit tray because, wow. I hope whatever you guys are doing tonight while you're painting, you have your music on. Again, you're remembering to breathe it out. Oh. Enjoying the sunshine because it's lovely today. The weather today has been absolutely gorgeous. Those big puffy clouds. All right, 2 more minutes, we'll move on, 7:45. So 2 minutes. I'm going to take this opportunity to get a little more clean white paint. And I didn't get clean water earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oh, 1 more minute. Okay. So I want to let that fish dry. I want to let that white dry, because if it's not dry and we try to lay more paint on it, same color, different color, we'll just start picking up wet paint, right? We'll be battling against ourselves. So I'm going to give that fish a little time to dry, and let's play in the background a little bit. Let's put some bubbles and some swooshes. So I'm going to find my medium brush. I'm going to clean it out and dry it off. Make sure it's nice and dry. And we're going to do a little bit of dry brushing. Okay. So I've got my medium brush. He's nice and clean, nice and dry. I'm going to take just the tiniest bit of white paint. Tiny, tiny, tiny bit. And to make sure it's a tiny bit, I'm going to wipe it off. Clean spot on my paper towel. So you can tell there's not hardly any paint on that brush at all. And I'm going to use that for my bubbles. Again, it's like dry brushing. So I won't have solid white circles. I'll have kind of very, very wispy, very soft bubbles. And this is where I need you to fight against if you have an OCD tendency, fight against it, right? Don't space them all evenly. You want some that are a little bigger, some that are a little smaller. Don't pattern them. Make them random. So in the painting I did last night, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 bubbles on it. So there's not a lot. So let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3. One right here. 4. 5. 7's a good number. 6. Oh, I need one down here in the dark. 7. And if you were here with me, you'd be able to hear my brush scraping on that canvas, because there's really, like, I would use this one again for another bubble. And you can tell it doesn't look like there's any paint on there at all. It's just that littlest bit. Okay. And then I think I'm going to be done with that. I'm going to pop that in the water cup. And then I'm going to play a little more in the background. I'm going to move on to my pointy brush. Clean it out, dry it off. Pointy brush. And now I'm going to use solid white paint. So each one of those bubbles with my pointy brush, I want to take some solid white paint, and I want to do a little kiss of light at the top right corner of each one of those bubbles. So this bubble, I'm just going to go boop on every bubble, top and right. with solid white paint, top and right. And that adds a really cool dimension to those bubbles. Top and right curve on every bubble. Is that my 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's my 7. Okay. Then I'm going to clean this brush out, clean that little brush out. And I'm going to turn it around and use the handle. And above each one of those bubbles, I want to do 3 little dots. I'm going to do one, number 1 closest to the bubble, and then number 2 up and number 3 up. So the one closest to the bubble will be a little bigger. So 1, 2, 3, because it's running out of paint as I do those 3 dots. Okay, so here, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Okay, each one, 3 bubbles, 3 little boops, boop, boop, boop. Now, if you wanted to be super dramatic, you could use different brushes because they're each going to have different size handles. So closest to the bubble, you could use the handle of your big brush. Then you could do your medium brush, then your small brush. But I'm good with how this looks with just one brush. More paint, less paint, less paint. Here we go. And then make sure when you're done to wipe that handle off so you don't stick your hand in wet paint. So now the bubbles are super duper cute. I'm gonna do one more thing. This is optional, you don't have to do it, but I like it. I'm gonna do some little waves back in there. I'm gonna start with the dry brush. So I'm gonna go back to my medium brush, clean it out, dry it off. Tiny bit of paint, wipe it off, right? And then I'm gonna do a couple little dry brush swooshes, right? So there's one there, maybe something just like an elongated S, very elongated. It's one of those subtle little things that makes it, just makes it, right? Maybe one around here. That might be it. Okay, so dry brush it first. And you can leave it there if you want, but I'm gonna go one step further because you know I always do, right? I like to take it one step further. I'm gonna go back to that pointy brush with solid white. And I'm not gonna go completely over that swoosh, but I'm just gonna accentuate a little piece of it. Blurp. Okay, so down here, I'm just gonna do a little blurp. Just a little blurp. And maybe up here. Oops. That's it. I'm going to look at my fish here. I have a couple spots where I have big rolls of paint. They're going to take a long time to dry. So I'm just smoothing those out. Mostly right here around the bottom of my almond. A couple spots that were just just a little thick. So I'm just smoothing those out. And then I think we're ready to move on to our orange fish. Okay. Okay. So as we get ready to put our color on our fish, do we need to take a minute and go dry that fish? What do we think? Or is he mostly dry? Is he not dry? No. Okay, how about let's take 3 minutes and let's go dry that fish, because we don't want to start pulling wet paint back off of there. Okay. So it's 7:54, 7:57. We'll come back and we'll start putting color on the fish. So if your fish is dry, it's time to refill your beverage, get a little snack, take a couple minutes, and 3 minutes we'll be back. Okay, friends, it's time to put color on our fish. So my guidance when we're talking about putting color on our fish, remember, if you're using the paint I'm using, it's very transparent. The orange is especially transparent. We have options. You can put one coat of orange on and just use long, smooth brush strokes. That's what I did, right? That's what I did with my one last night. Now I can see it's transparent, but that's okay. As long as I use long, smooth brush strokes when I paint, not little choppy ones. As long as I use long, smooth brush strokes, that kind of adds to the look of it, right? And you paint with the contour of the fish. That's one option. You could do that same thing and add a second coat to it. It's still going to be pretty transparent. Or you can add a little bit of white to it. Now that's going to make it a lighter orange, but it's going to make it less transparent. I'm okay with just using orange because I want that bold color. If I add white, it's going to make it too soft for me. And I want that nice bold orange. So I'm just going to use straight orange, one coat, and use long, smooth brush strokes. Okay, medium brush. Clean it out, dry it off. And let's start by identifying, I'm gonna warn you now, this is gonna get weird, right? It's gonna look like a zombie fish. There was a lot of chatter last night of us catfishing. Oh. Because we're gonna put the belly on there and it's gonna look like a ginormous mouth. All right, medium brush, clean it out, dry it off, orange. Orange, and let's start right about the top of our fins, our bottom fins down here. And I'm gonna do a big frowny face. And I'm sure you're seeing with that one brush stroke how transparent it is. That's okay, long, smooth brush strokes. And I'm gonna go ahead and outline the bottom of my fish, the bottom of the almond. And then I'm gonna leave that, I'll fill that in with white later. Okay. And it already looks like a mouth. Super creepy. My next step is I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna outline my eyeballs. I'm staying on the white. And it is okay, that got a little thick there. It's okay, I can fix it with white later, but stay on the white. Give them a nice, long, smooth brush strokes. Okay. And I noticed people struggled with this last night in class. This is okay, we're gonna put glasses here. So like I got outside my line a little bit, I'll put glasses there, you'll never notice. Okay. So I've outlined where my belly goes. I've outlined my eyes. And then I want to paint up this side and up this side. And then using long, smooth brush strokes, up and down and up and down. Let's fill this in. Okay. And I know you're going to want to be tempted to add more paint. At this point, that's not going to help. You're just going to start picking up half-dried paint, and it's going to look real funky and like chunky. So I'm just using a nice even coat and using those nice, long, smooth brush strokes. Up and down. And if I get real close, you can see it's transparent, but that's okay because I'm using those long, smooth brush strokes. I got a little crazy over on this side though. There we go. Clean that up a little. Okay, so we've identified our belly. We've identified our eyeballs. We finished in the rest of the almond up to the peak. And now with that solid orange, I'm gonna go straight on up. Remember that line we put on when we put the mohawk on there? Up and over. Solid orange. Long, smooth brush stroke. Okay. And then down to my fins. I'm not going to go all the way out. I'm going to go probably 3/4 of the way out. So I'm going to paint them just like I did with the white, but I'm just not going to make them as long, so I can leave little white tips. Now I'm going to go back in with some white and clean that up and play a little. Your orange is way lighter. Is it way more transparent? Yeah, try adding some white to it. So if you're having an issue that your orange is like, whoa, transparent, try to add a little bit of white to it, let that dry, and then come back in and give it another coat of orange. I see. I wonder if you add some red to it. Yeah, I wonder if you add some red to it, Dawn, to see if that does it. Give that a whirl. Yeah, just a little bit. Awesome, awesome, cool. Okay. Yeah, paint's a funny thing, right? Because it's different. Every place you get paint, it's always different. And it's interesting, I keep looking at the picture, the screen where I'm recording. My fish is not this bright in real life. This is like, on my screen, it looks like it's glowing orange, and it's really not. But for whatever reason, the camera's making it look like it's glowing. So again, back to my fins. I'm painting with orange the same way I did with the white. I'm just not going all the way out to the end. Is that working, Dawn? Good, awesome, okay. You could add a little bit of white to it too, but that's gonna make it a little more of a corally color. That's okay, because fish are all different colors, right? That's okay. Okay. So just finishing in my fins. Okay. And then I'm going to pop my brush in my water cup. And then our next step after this, I'll give you a couple minutes, but our next step after this is some white and then maybe a little yellow. And it's okay at this point if your fish is still wet, because we want a little bit of a blend with that orange. So while you guys are painting your fins, I feel compelled to tell you about my new puppy I adopted. If you need to see all the shenanigans, Taylor, I feel like you already follow them, right? Yeah. Go on Facebook and Instagram. It's the Sweet Tooth Posse, because my baby's name is Sugar, and then we just adopted Honey. And they are the freaking sweetest things on the planet. They're so cute. And it's a match that shouldn't work, but it somehow does. Sugar is an 8-month, almost 9-month-old boy, pit bull mix, and he's a sassy pants, because he's a teenage boy at this point in his puppy life. And then we just brought in Honey, who's a 4-year-old. They're estimating 4-year-old mama pit bull that's been through some things. She has seen things in her life. So we brought this mom into a house with a rambunctious teenage boy, and they absolutely love each other, and it's the cutest love story ever. So if you feel so compelled, follow them, the Sweet Tooth Posse, because they are just cute as can be. It's one of those relationships that shouldn't work. Somehow it does. Okay, I'm gonna take, now I've got my orange on there. I'm going to take that brush, that medium brush, and clean it out. Clean it out. So I'm tap, tap, tapping in the bottom of the water cup. I'm going to dry it off. And I'm taking clean white paint. And now where I brought this, let's start up here at this top fin where we brought the orange up and out. I'm going to take this white and bring it back down in. Shoo. And that second coat of white really makes that pop. Okay. So I'm out at the end, working my way back in. Like it, like it. I'm gonna do the same thing down here on the belly. Let's fill that belly in with clean white. Ooh, that second coat is nice. So top fin, belly. The other fins down here, I'm doing little bits of white at the ends and kind of just pulling it up into that orange. I'm getting a little blend there in some places where my orange is still wet. That's cool. If you feel you're getting too much blend, you're losing all your white, you're getting too much orangey blend, clean your brush out, dry it off, get some fresh white. I'm starting out at the tip and just pulling back up in. That's fun. So fun. Okay. And then with clean white and a tiny bit of yellow, that white that I just put on there that's still wet, I'm gonna play with white and a tiny bit of yellow and just kind of have fun. I'm gonna do some swishes there in the belly, a little bit of yellow down here on these fins. There's no right or wrong at this point. I'm just kind of playing a little bit where the orange and the white kind of come together. I'm just doing little choppy choo 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 brush strokes. Choo choo choo. You just have to be kind of willy-nilly. Willy-nilly, no right or wrong. If you feel you've lost too much of the orange, grab a little, put it back in there. And then I'm going to take my white and yellow up here to the top and play in between the wet white and this orange. And I'm just doing little choppy brush strokes. Right. And I'm losing a lot of the orange, I think, because it's dry. I might just put a little back in there, a little more. I have orange, yellow, white, all up in that brush. It's just chaos right now. And that's okay. Now, the trick is when you're doing something like this, to be able to just walk away and not overwork it. And I think I'm probably there. Because if I keep going, I'm going to lose all my white. And I like it right now. It just looks like a fan. So I think I'm going to have to stop right there. Okay. I'm going to give you a few more minutes to play with that, right? To play in that yellow, orange, There's no right or wrong when you're working on that. But if it starts to blend and all turn into one color, stop, let it dry, go back, get some clean white back in there. When you're working on something like this, a little bit of clean white really makes a huge difference. It'll just make it pop, okay? So right now, I want to put some clean white in my eyeballs. So I'm going to run my finger right around the edge of the orange on the eyes, where the white and the orange come together. I want to make sure I don't have any wet orange there, because I don't want my eyeballs to turn orange, because my fish will look like it has some kind of disease, all right? So I'm just running my finger over there, over around this edge, making sure that's dry. And then I'm going to get clean white and fill in my eyeballs with some clean white. Clean that brush out really good. Ooh, I'm going to have to find some clean white. I might even have to clean my water out again, because I want those eyes to be sparkling white. If you have to go get clean white, we don't need very much. We just need enough for the eyeballs and maybe a tiny bit for the lips and a tiny bit for the kiss of light in the eyeballs. So maybe a pump, just a tiny bit. Oh, nice. So medium brush, clean white. And this is where, if your orange got a little crazy, you can use that white to trim that orange back down. You just want a little outline of orange around that eyeball. So I can make my white just a little bigger. And again, I love that second coat of white because it just makes everything nice and bright. There we go. Now you might be tempted to go ahead and put the black in there, to put the black pupils in, because our fish looks really creepy right about now, but we're not going to. We're gonna let that white dry. But while that white is drying, we can put our glasses on. So think about what your glasses look like. Are they gonna be, are they gonna have color all the way around, like mine and like Thelma from last night? Or are they gonna have like clear bottoms? Are they going to be rimless on the bottoms? If they are going to be rimless on the bottoms, you're going to use a little of that dry brush white. But we're going to go ahead and put the top piece on first. So we had conversations last night that somebody made their glasses black, and when they put the nose piece and the tops on, she looked like a Frida Kahlo fish because she had that really intense eyebrow. So whichever brush makes you happy, I'm going to stay with my medium brush. You can move on to your small brush depending on what your glasses are going to look like. Remember, all our paint is transparent, so you're going to have to either add a little bit of black or a little bit of white. If you wanted, for example, if you wanted maroon colored glasses, you would use red with a little bit of black, and that would give you a nice solid nice solid maroon glasses. I'm going to go with white though. I'm trying to decide what color. I think I want purple this time. I did lime green last night. I think I want to do purple this time. So I'm going to do a little mixing here. I've got my medium brush with some white. I'm going to take a little bit of blue, a lot of red. That phthalo blue is powerful. So a tiny bit of blue, a lot of red. And I'm not a fan of mixing my colors ahead of time. I like it to happen on the canvas. But for something very specific like this, where I want the glasses to be all that same color, I'm going to mix a little puddle here. So my glasses color is consistent clear through. A little more white. Okay. I think I got my purple. Got a little puddle of it. So the way I'm going to put these glasses on, I'm going to do the bridge. So right across in line with the whites of the eyes, or maybe a little lower. I'm going to do a little frown. Right, that's going to be the bridge. And then the trick is getting the left side and the right side even. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to get as close as you can, and that'll be fine. So from the bridge, I'm going to curve up and around and up. Because I'm going to give her some cat eye glasses. And then over here, up and around and up. And they don't match, and that's okay. They're close. And then the bottom part of the glasses, if you want them to be rimless, you're going to clean your brush out and you're going to go with dry brush white. I'm going to do solid frames on mine. Take a little more purple. I'm going to go back to the bridge. And I'm going to swoop it right around the eyeball. Whoop. Swoop it right around. And again, they don't match. They're close enough that if we get away from it, we know what it is, right? We know it's supposed to be glasses. These make me smile. Now, while that's wet, you may feel like I'm moving fast, but I want to do this while it's wet. I'm going to take my small brush with just a little bit of white. And I'm going to go across the top of the bridge. And again, I'm doing this while it's wet because I want to blend it. I want to blend it in. I don't want to lay white on top. I just want to give kind of a highlight. Make my glasses a little more interesting. So the tiniest bit of white with my pointy brush. And right around the bottom. Whoop. That's a little much, but because this purple's still wet, I can blend it through a little. There we go. Okay. And then your glasses are whatever you want them to look like. And for whatever reason, my glasses don't have this, but my other glasses did, my old school glasses. I'm going to take the other end of my brush with a little bit of white. And I'm going to do just a couple little doots. They're like little screw marks where the glasses come together. Doot, couple little dots. Super cute. Okay. Woo, friends, we're getting close. I can't wait to see your glasses when you guys are done. I can't wait to see what they look like. Because again, we were naming our fishes last night. They all had a backstory, every single one of them. Okay. So there are a couple different directions we can go. There are a couple things we have left to do. We need to do the black pupils, which are pretty big, right? And then the white in the eyes and lips. The white, my white eyes are dry enough. I can go ahead and do the black. If yours aren't, don't. Okay, just watch what I'm going to do and wait for your eyes to dry before you move on. But I'm going to go ahead and do the black in my eyes. I'm going to put some lips on. And then I'm going to do the whites and call it done. So that's how I'm going to finish this out. I'm going to use my little brush with just a tiny bit of black. And I'm going to center these black pupils toward the middle and down a little in the whites. Oh my goodness. Once you give them the black pupils, they start to, they really take shape. I don't know why, but this one's a boy. I don't know. We'll put the lips on and then we'll decide. Okay. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit. Got my black pupils on there. And I'm going to take some red and a little bit of white and give it some pink lips. You don't have to do lips. But the top lip is going to be in the orange. Kind of like a bird, like a kindergarten bird, right? Like a little bump bump. My little bottom lip. Soup. And then I think I'm going to add just a little white highlight on that bottom lip. Again, I'm doing it while it's wet. Little highlight on the top, little top M. Oh, too much. Looks like she's been eating greasy pork chops. Too much. There we go. Fun. She's so sassy. I might go a little darker pink right in the middle between the lips to kind of define them a little more. It's one of those things that the lips you could take forever just playing, right? Trying to get them just right. But it's that kindergarten M for the top lip. And then that little, that stretched out U shape for the bottom lip. And then I went a little darker pink in the middle to separate them. A little lighter on the top. Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to do is the white in the eyes. And I think I'm going to use the end of one of my brushes. Do a little dot. A little dot right there. And a little dot right there. And I do believe she's done. So I know we all paint at our own pace, and I feel like a lot of you are probably still working, still playing. So I'm going to leave you to play, and I'll upload the recording so you can watch it later if you want to. The very last thing every artist does when you're done, and some artists will leave their painting sit for, a day, couple days, and then go back and look at it and decide if it's done. But the very last thing you want to do is sign your painting. Doesn't matter if it's on the front or on the back. We usually sign down in the bottom corner, bottom right, bottom left. I'm going to go to my trusty Sharpie because I am crap at signing with a brush. I'm going to go down here in the corner and put my signature on it. SS, bloop, and the year, because I always want to remember the year. And that is done. So again, thank you so much for joining me. This was a lot of fun tonight. Make sure to send me a picture of your fish because I would love to see it. And if it has a name, I would love to know its name as well, because, you know, Thelma at the BMV needs to judge your fish, evidently. So thank you all so much for joining me tonight. This has been a lot of fun. I'm Shauna Sue from Crooked Door Studio, and watch the calendar because I'll be posting our next virtual for the end of June, and it will be, I'm not sure yet, I have an idea, it will be something patriotic because it'll be real close to 4th of July. So keep an eye out for that. So I will see you all soon. Take care.